welcome to another segment of Bella TV. My name is Jennifer, and I am joined today by actor Michel Gill. Michael, welcome to Bella TV.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's good to be with you.
Of course. So I'm really excited. I know you have this new show coming out on HULU called The Dropout. I was very lucky. I got to screen it ahead of time. So we'll get into that because it was pretty intense. But you have an amazing resume of acting. I mean, you were literally the president in House of Cards, one of my favorite shows. And also another big new show on HBO called The Gilded Age. We're going to get into all of this. Why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background on how you got into acting in the first place?
Oh, I'll do that very quickly. My name is Michel Gill. I'm married to Jane Atkinson. We have a son, Jeremy, who's 23, and two dogs. I got into acting very early on, along with music and art. I came from a very creative family, always geared towards the humanities and the arts, and I discovered that I really had a facility for across the board with all of those disciplines, but where my parents, where they knew nothing about things, I chose to gravitate to. So the theater and film was something they were unfamiliar with. My father was very musical, my mom was very artistic, and I thought, that's great. I need to go away and do my own thing. So it was a natural course of events, and I just naturally even without consciously thinking that way. It just drew me unconsciously to not only an area that I could have of my own, but really excel in and learn about.
Yeah, very talented family, and your wife is also an actress as well.
Yes, she is. She was the Secretary of State on House of Cards.
Yes, how was
Jane
that?
Atkinson.
Yeah, how was that getting to act together, especially on such a huge show like House of Cards?
You can imagine what an amazing thing that was. We had done many plays before. We met in the theater many years ago, and to have been cast together in what seemed at the time even to be groundbreaking, seismic shifting show, and to be in this together, we just could not believe it. We were so thrilled, so excited all the way through. We shot in Baltimore, and it turned out to be just a wonderful place to get away to together. And it was really, really wonderful. Very lucky.
You do have a new show coming out, which if we learned anything during the pandemic, it was how to binge watch TV series. And like I said, I did get to watch. It was very cool. Before we get into it, can you give us, without spoiling it, but it obviously is based on true events, just a little background on the premise of the show, The Dropout?
It's an extraordinary story. Elizabeth Holmes, this quite brilliant young lady, came up with an amazing idea while attending Stanford, and also had an agenda and an ambition in her life to be the youngest female billionaire. And so it drew her to wanting to invent, create, change the world. And she did it a little too quickly, a little too erratically, and unfortunately couldn't sustain it. Didn't know how to sustain being an entrepreneur, a savvy business person, a scientist, and also being transparent for her investors, and to know that failure or a slowdown in production does not mean the end of the world. And she thought it would be, and it would stop her bigger ambitions. And so somehow she took it upon herself to just mislead for a very long time until really it all fell apart. So it's an amazing story, a psychological profile on on just what ambition can do. And if you've just not got the proper, like a house with good bones,
Right.
if you don't have good bones, where you understand what's right and wrong fundamentally, you get into trouble. And she did, and she got into serious trouble, and as we know, has had a trial that has reached a verdict.
Yeah. And honestly, watching it, I wasn't very familiar with the story. And the whole time I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what is more confusing to me. The fact that I feel like maybe it wasn't that publicized, or the fact that I just didn't hear about this, or what was actually unfolding throughout the series and with this company and her life. I mean, the whole time I'm like, wait, is this really happening? And I'm like, is this possible? That, I mean, she amassed, this major company, made millions of dollars, and then meanwhile, there's not really actually any product or technology to be had or sold. And I was blown away by it. Amanda Seyfried did an amazing job watching her kind of get into this character. I mean, when she would be in the mirror and, doing her voices, I'm like, that had to be such a transformation for her. It was really fantastic to watch.
It was. And look, this is a juggling act. It's sort of the cups with one thing under a ball under one of the three cups, and you're just constantly moving them, or literally a commedia dell'arte production where one door shuts, another opens, and then suddenly the person that you thought was behind one door is really behind another door. She was doing everything she could to be behind so many doors at the same time, and to create this persona that in the end was the beginning of her biggest mistake. Mm-hmm. She had an insecurity. She didn't think that she could just be herself. And that comes from possibly her upbringing and her parents.
I was going to say, so you play her father on the show, and her relationship with both of her parents was very interesting, because you could see in so many scenes where she felt like, I have to do this. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't leave the business if I wanted to. I can't take a day off. I can't, not get the funding and get the investors. And a lot of scenes I thought, wow, that pressure that she must feel, from her parents, who seemed very loving, obviously, but very much, this is who you are. You're the CEO of this company. You must succeed.
Right. There's no option. And that is also born from her legacy of me trying to drill into her what life is about, and what purpose is about, and how you have no option in life. You have to have a purpose. Whatever you choose to do, you have to wake up every day with a purpose. And it was very firm belief system that I instilled in her. And obviously we also come from a legacy of a great-grandfather who was a bit of a con artist himself with the Fleischmann Yeast Company. When he needed to make money and he saw his money disappearing, he lied about his yeast, claiming that it was good for your gut. And suddenly he became a bit of a con artist. And so she comes by it honestly. And the father, whose father and grandfather lost everything, he was very upset, very hurt, very angry, and wanted to make a difference and make sure that she knew how to do this. And somewhere along the road, legacy and purpose just went, I
mean, it gives you almost anxiety watching it, because you're like, oh my God, like they've blown through this money, they're lying to investors. And I'm like, when is it gonna, like it's going to come to a halt. And you see it, and you almost, in the beginning of the show, you relate to her. She wants to do something good. She wants to, use her gift and her talent, I believe, for the greater good. And then she slowly starts to make these little choices that you see are immoral. And I think she knows it, but she's also internally battling with, well, at the end of this, it's going to be for good. And it's like, you want to love her, but you want to hate her at the same time. And like I said, it was very cool to watch unravel.
Yeah, and I do have an enormous amount of compassion for her, because she just had her true north was, her compass wasn't quite right. It was just a little off dial, off north. And so, the simplicity of it, she had an argument that she was determined to perpetuate, which was geniuses are always, criticized until their creation becomes true. Edison, and so suddenly everything becomes a reality, and you go, oh, but meanwhile, the genius had to suffer for many, many years in the process. That's fine, and that's true. The eccentricity, ego, power, ambition of a genius with a genial idea is undeniably a very difficult road. And then you take it to another limit where you decide to lie and mislead. And then suddenly a lot of people are involved that are losing or have a lot of money at stake, even people's health. I mean, seriously, people's health was the paramount issue. And so you just can't mess around with that. So as much as she tried to say, hey, I'm a genius, you're going to realize at some point that that's what it's all about. No, that's true, but you can't just go off course.
Right. Especially like you said, when you're dealing with literally sick patients who are relying on, this research and what you are promising to deliver, but ultimately not. So it was, like I said.
So the blood goes into the machine, somebody's back there, grabs it, goes running to somewhere else, comes back through another door. Yeah, it's,
Oh my, yeah. Literally out loud throughout watching, I was like, wait, what are they doing? Is this happening? So it was really great to watch. Very good. I can't wait for everyone to see it. And when does that drop on Hulu?
I believe March 3rd.
Yes. Awesome. So hopefully everyone will check it out. It was really, really great. Any other projects you can tell us about that you're working on? Obviously, I mentioned the Gilded Age as well. Anything coming up that we can look out for?
Right. That's a beautiful show.
Yeah.
No, I have nothing coming up. I'm never going to work again. It's just awful. I'm in Boulder, Colorado with my wife. We just got we have a 5-month-old puppy, and life is grand. And I'm so excited about these shows that I'm on, and I'm looking for some fun and interesting parts right now. And that's all I got, but it's just a wonderful time. And I really am so happy to be a part of these two extraordinary shows.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know how to pick the shows that you are a part of, because they either have already become, or I know will become, very huge. So
I'm a lucky guy.
Yes. Well, let our viewers know, obviously, like we said, Hulu, The Dropout, March 3rd, but let everyone know where they can follow along with you personally and keep up with everything you have going on.
Well, I am actually the worst person to ask about social media. I just, I'm not very good because I'm just so wrapped up in life,
That's a good.
And I'm very, I haven't found the discipline to be on. I mean, I have a profile on Twitter. I've never posted on Instagram, and I rarely check my Facebook page. So I am really not a good person to ask of that. But I'm going to try to make an effort. I am on Twitter at Michel Gill, official, I believe, or that's Instagram. Good luck.
Yeah, we'll find you.
I don't know where I am. No, just watch the shows. That's where you'll find me.
You're enjoying your time in Colorado. We get it. And I'm sure everyone is going to tune into Hulu and watch The Dropout. Michel, thank you so much for joining us. Amazing work in the show. It was really fantastic.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you for having me.